So I've been delaying and postponing and coming up with a lot of reasons to not do this. So I decided to just pull the trigger and start. This is the first in what I intend to be a series of me talking about my issues, things that I've faced, challenges, in hopes that it will foster better communication. It'll help people feel better about the situation they face. Um, yeah, this is unscripted. This is just me introducing my experience with depression. I've been diagnosed with depression. I think I have some anxiety issues. I think there's a lot going on in my head that's kind of weird. This initially started out as an idea to do for my church, as part of a leadership training that I went to, where we had to set some goals, and so I was going to set up a time to meet with some of the youth in my church and talk about my personal experiences with depression. Part of the reason I did this is because in this community that I live in, and I have a how to say, I have a reputation for being one of those guys, one of those good guys, that has it all together. Um, I played the Savior in the Mormon Miracle Pageant here locally for 6 years. And so a lot of people connected with me through that role. And I thought it would be valuable to show that someone who looks like their life is put together is not nearly as put together. And some of that comes from the challenges that I faced. So yeah, my name is Andy Ballman and I suffer from depression. It's something that I come by honestly. There are diagnoses of depression on one side of the family for generations. My grandmother, my mom, some of her relatives, some of my brothers, most of my brothers, I think, but I can't speak to them for them. Um, so there is a strong genetic component to my depression. It also was it was also developed through some experiences I had in elementary school. I was bullied by someone who I thought was my friend. I had him turn on me for reasons that I don't understand. To this day, I don't even know what went on with that. But between that and genetics, there have been times when I've been pretty low. Uh, I first saw a therapist, I think, sometime around my early teens. Um, I don't remember a lot about that experience. The second time I remember seeing a therapist was when I was serving a proselyting mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And serving as a missionary is stressful, it's challenging, it's difficult, and I got to a point where I wasn't managing it very well. And that was the first time that I remember being put on antidepressants. I don't remember what I was given. I don't remember a whole lot about how I reacted to it, but I did manage to finish my mission and fully serve the 2 years that I had committed to. And then I came home and, dealt with depression related stuff for a long time. And then I plan on talking about this in the future, but one of the challenges that I face with depression is apparently there's a connection between depression and loss of memory. So I don't remember a lot. Um, but I do know that in Las Vegas, when I was there for a PhD program, I I finally started talking to a doctor about my depression. He put me on antidepressants, and I've been mostly consistently using those antidepressants for a while. There was one time when I thought maybe I was doing better and I could get off of them, and uh, during that time when I was trying to go without, um, my daughter asked my mom, or asked my wife. My daughter asked her mom um, if I had gone off of them, and so obviously it makes a difference for me. Um, I'm currently taking citalopram, the the generic version of something called Celexa. It's a fairly mild antidepressant, and my wife and I have been discussing whether or not that needs to change at this point. But I take antidepressants. I've been to counseling, I've been to therapy. I think there would be merit in going back and doing that. But for the time being, I'm managing pretty well without. In the process, though, I'll be talking probably more about this in the future about something called suicidal ideation, which is that I didn't realize this was unusual, but I am the idea of ending it all, of killing myself, has been omnipresent in my mind for about as long as I can remember. I had when a couple years back there was someone in our neighborhood who killed himself. He was a father, he had kids, and one of my first thoughts was, I get it. And that's something I live with. I do monitor myself, and I try to be honest with myself. I don't see myself as being imminently in danger of acting on that impulse, but the impulse exists in my head in a way that's kind of abnormal. And I didn't realize how abnormal that was until I started talking about it, which is part of why I wanted to do this. Because in talking about this, I'm hoping that people who share some of the issues that I face, suicidal ideation, spiritual distancing is something I want to talk about, that you'll understand that it's not normal, but that doesn't mean that you're a bad person or that you're necessarily irreparably broken. I know what it's like to not want to keep going. I know what it's like to feel numb. I know what it's like to just feel like existence is a burden. But it doesn't have to be that way. And by talking about it, by addressing it, by working through these issues, we can get to the point where we can have a decent, fuller, happier life, while still managing it. I don't think that I'm ever going to live a life free of depression. I think it's something that's going to be a part of me from now until I die. But I can have a good life. I have had a good life. There are a lot of things that are wonderful, that are good. I have a wonderful support system. I have a lot of people who are very supportive and very encouraging in helping me to cope with my insecurities, my sense of a lack of value, with the belief that the world would be a better place without me in it. And those are real feelings that I have. And they're feelings that are inaccurate, but that doesn't make them less powerful, less impactful to me. And those of you who have those feelings, I want you to understand that our feelings can lie to us. That those of us who struggle with depression, we tend to believe we are less valuable than we really are. There are people who care about us. It's we're not as alone as depression makes us feel. Gosh, now this is something that I'm struggling with, and this is part of why I just decided to go for it, to really just jump in. I want to go back and fix. Already I'm hearing some of the things that I'm saying and where I trip over my words. And I want to go back and polish those out, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to let myself do that. I'm going to try to just be imperfect and accept that I'm imperfect on these. So my current intentions, and I'm telling this to you so that it kind of puts me on the line to do this. My current intentions is to post something once a week. To post something no longer than 20 minutes. I'm shooting for somewhere between 10 to 15, depending on the issue that we talk about. I also plan on responding to any kind of questions or concerns that come up as I post these. I've debated different ways of posting these, and for now it's going to be really kind of raw, really kind of unpolished, and yeah. So that's my plan. yeah, if there's anything specific that you'd like to see from me, I'll see what I can do about this. For the time being, it's going to be me talking to you about my personal experiences and what I understand from what research I've done into depression. But disclaimer, I am by no means an expert. I am not licensed. I'm just a guy who's lived 40 years with some of these issues, and I think that I have something that might help people in dealing with this. So, there you go. I'll have more to say later.